Is it real or trick photography? That is what most people question when first seeing this famous photograph of Princess May balanced upon a reef. How in the world did this happen in the first place? Let's cover the history behind the grounding of the steamship Princess May. Princess May was originally built in 1888 by the Hawthorne Leslie and Company Limited for the Formosa Trading Company. She was named Cass and measured 249 feet in overall length, had a beam of 33 feet, and a draft of 18 feet. Cass operated between Hong Kong, China, and Taiwan, transporting freight and passengers for 13 years. During this period, she changed owners and underwent several name changes. In 1901, the Canadian Pacific Railway bought out the Canadian Pacific Navigation Company after they had acquired all their stock. Despite the similar names they both shared, they had no relation to each other. Canadian Pacific Railway had acquired the company as a part of their plan to create a transcontinental railroad by steamships, connecting Canada with Europe and Asia. This division of their steamship fleet was called the British Columbia Coast Steamship Service. They put Captain James William Troup in charge of operating and developing a new fleet of ships for coastal service on the Pacific Northwest Inside Passage. He came up with the Princess Fleet, a series of small ocean liners that would each start with the name Princess. These ships were nicknamed pocket liners because of their ocean liner-like passenger accommodations, but on a smaller scale. While the company's first ship, Princess Patricia, was being built, Captain Troup wanted a vessel to fill in for the intervening time during the final stages of the Klondike Gold Rush. In April 1901, the Cass, which by this point was named the Hating, or also pronounced as Hating, was purchased by the Canadian Pacific Railway. She was placed on the 800-mile route between Vancouver, British Columbia, and Skagway, Alaska on June 21st. The Hating was later renamed Princess May in February 1902 after Mary of Teck, Queen of England from 1910 to 1936. Princess May ended up proving worthwhile as in 1905, the Canadian Pacific Railway appropriated $150,000 in upgrades for her in 1906. Nearly her entire superstructure was rebuilt from the ground up and her promenade decks were done away with. Some other upgrades included 2 new first-class berth staterooms for 200 passengers and a double row of staterooms extending from one end of the ship to the other that opened into social halls. In addition, Princess May received 2 new triple expansion steam engines and an extra boiler accompanying her existing 2. Princess May plied the British coast on alternate weeks with her fleetmates serving the many small mining, fishing, and lumber settlements. Legend has it that if any prospectors traveled aboard her, they were certain to bring gold back to port. Some were superstitious that they would pass up on other ships just for Princess May. The Pacific Northwest Inside Passage posed many threats for ships traveling through it. Probably one of the most dangerous stretches of the route was the approach to Sentinel Rook at the southern end of the Lynn Canal. The walls of the canal are precipitous and the waterway deep and in many places narrow. This passage is strewn with reefs and at some points is less than half a mile in width. A ship must clear the rocky islands on both sides, and the smallest deviation from the set course entailed destruction. One of them was called Sentinel Island, situated about 4 miles northeast of Shelter Island. Sentinel Island is a jagged rock about 250 yards long and with long tooth-like reefs projecting at the north and south ends. These dangerous waters, combined with the heavy ship traffic, led to many accidents and deaths in the late 19th and early 20th century. After an inspector from the 13th Lighthouse District toured the southeast Alaskan coast in 1900, he wrote a report and recommended that 11 lighthouses be constructed. One of these was built on Sentinel Island in 1902, though even with a lighthouse, accidents did still happen. At 9 p.m. on August 4, 1910, Princess May, under the command of Captain John McLeod, left Skagway bound for Vancouver with 80 passengers, 63 crew members, and a cargo full of mail and mineral ore containing gold. Most of the passengers on board were tourists touring the Alaskan coast. At 2 a.m., Captain McLeod had retired to his berth while pilot John Richardson was on the bridge navigating Princess May through the Lynn Canal at her max speed of 12 knots. A haze hung over the calm waters, making it difficult for him to see far ahead on the unusually dark night. These conditions, plus it being the highest tide of the year, made it nearly impossible to sight rocks. When she was nearing the northern end of Sentinel Island, Richardson spotted rocks as the ship was almost upon them. While he reacted immediately, it was too late to turn the ship in time. Princess May struck a hidden reef with such force that it climbed halfway over the rocks, leaving her bow jutting up at about a 23-degree angle. It left a massive 55-foot gash in her hull on the starboard side, sending cold water rushing in instantly. Her port propeller blade also hit the reef so hard it left its propeller shaft twisted and bent. Passengers sleeping in their cabins were awoken by the sudden impact of the ship striking the reef. Captain McLeod and his officers ordered all crew members and passengers into lifeboats to get away from the sinking ship. The boats hugged Sentinel Island until daylight, when they were able to safely land everyone on shore. Many of the passengers were scantily clad and cold as they and their belongings were taken to the island's lighthouse. The lighthouse keeper did everything he could to keep them comfortable while they waited for rescue boats. Meanwhile, on board Princess May, wireless operator W.R. Keller had begun sending a distress message after the collision. His equipment was soon rendered useless when the engine room began flooding. Once the engine stopped turning the dynamo, all power on the ship was lost. Back in those days, wireless telegraphs on ships typically did not have an auxiliary battery power backup. Keller used his wits and scrambled down to the engine room in waist-deep water. He wired a makeshift connection from the storage battery on the engine order telegraph to a buzzer outfit in his wireless cabin. It worked, and he was able to send this one message before the engine room completely flooded. SS Princess May sinking Sentinel Island. Send help. Keller's message was heard by several sources around Alaska and as far south as Astoria, Oregon. The United States Naval Station in Cordova, Alaska, contacted Juneau, the nearest city to Sentinel Island, to relay his message. Soon, ships from Juneau and other surrounding ports rushed to aid Princess May. The first to arrive on scene was Princess Enna, who picked up the passengers and brought them to Juneau. There they stayed in hotels at the expense of the Canadian Pacific Railway before being conveyed to Vancouver. Not only did all passengers and crew survive, but the gold and mail shipment had also been saved and was sent south to its destination on another steamer. While Princess May's engine room and saloons were completely flooded, she did not fully sink. Later that day, the 16-foot tide dropped, leaving her high and dry out of the water except for a few feet at the stern. Word of the ship's almost unreal stranding had spread like wildfire by means of wireless telegraph messages. Local Alaskan photography studios like Winter and Pond and Case and Draper went to the site to capture photographs of Princess May teetering upon the reef. Their photographs were published and sold around the country in many magazines, on postcards, and on prints. One of the most famous shots taken by William Howard Case was this low-angle view of Princess May. Posing on her bow is Captain John McLeod and some of his officers who stayed behind on the ship. While they were waiting, Canadian Pacific began looking for a company to salvage Princess May. They hired Captain W.H. Logan to get Princess May off the reef and tow her to Juneau. No time was wasted in patching her damaged hull and pumping out water from it. Temporary wooden shipways were also built so she could slide off at the next high tide. On September 3, 1910, she was successfully refloated and towed into port. There, the port propeller was removed and her hull patches were reinforced before being moved to the BC Marine Railway Wharf in Esquimalt on September 13th. A thorough inspection on Princess May was done, which found 120 hull plates at intervals from stem to stern were punctured when she was sitting on the teeth-like rocks. While undergoing repairs, Princess May became the first ship on the Princess fleet to be converted from coal to oil-burning boilers. She entered back into service in 1911 and served the Canadian Pacific for 8 more years until she was sold off. Princess May was then employed in the fruit trade for the DeGiorgio Corporation until being scuttled off Kingston, Jamaica in 1935. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to Railroad Street for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, everyone.